Hello and welcome to Mountain Patriot Homestead. We are in the kitchen. I've got my apron on, so let's get cooking. Today's recipe is going to be one that is an addition to the holiday recipe series that we've had going on here. And I'm going to make a cookie recipe today, but it's going to be using an ingredient that maybe you've used in your kitchen, but if you have not, you've likely seen it on the shelves at Christmas time, or at least heard mention of it, even though you may not know exactly what it is. And we're going to be using mincemeat. Mincemeat is actually a sweet fruit with a little meat in it, a little beef, but the concoction is mostly apples and raisins, molasses, some corn syrup, flavoring, little lemon, and I think orange, and just a little bit of beef in there, but it is called mincemeat. And today we're going to make cookies from a container of mincemeat. So let's get our ingredients together. Before we begin putting the ingredients together, I have a baking sheet here. It's my old Wilson, and as you can see, it has been being used for many years. I could grease this and put the dough directly onto here when I'm ready, or I could just put a silicone mat here, which is what I've done, and I'll be baking directly on this in the 425 degree Fahrenheit oven that I have preheated. My first ingredient is 1.5 cups of packed light brown sugar. Now you can use dark brown sugar, but remember that the difference between light brown and dark brown is the amount of molasses used to make it. So if you use dark brown, it will have a more rich molasses flavor, which you may or may not like. I do like molasses, so I wouldn't mind it, but light brown sugar is what I had. And to that, I am going to add 1 cup of softened butter. Now this butter here is unsalted. If you use salted butter, you could leave out the salt in the recipe. So this is 1 cup of butter, or a 1/2 pound, or 2 sticks. Just depends on how you figure yours. And now I'm going to beat these two together until they're light and fluffy. The next ingredient is 1 large egg, and my girls do not have any problem producing large eggs, so I'm just going to crack this here in a little bowl. Make sure I don't get any eggshell in there. And I'm gonna just add that right in there. And I'm going to beat these together. See how creamy that's gotten? Isn't that pretty? It's looking good, and it don't even have the main ingredient in it. So the star of this is going to be the mincemeat, and you can see all the fruit that is in there. And I wish you could smell this, because to me it just smells good. It smells really good right now, and we hadn't even finished. So we're just going to stir that together. See, now as this stirs into this, you can start seeing the fruit even more, because it starts separating and mixing into that dough. Okay, that was 2 cups of mincemeat. Now, if you're wondering what to do, I'll show you. I had just a tiny bit left in the jar. I will not throw this away. This could be used in pancakes. It could be used on a hot biscuit. It could be used in oatmeal. You could eat it with a spoon if you wanted to. This stuff is just so good. But yes, this will not get thrown away. And not only that, but those good glass jars, I'll use this for whenever I dehydrate things during the summertime when I'm foraging. These come in so handy for that. So I will be keeping up with this. You see all those pieces of fruit in there? And you could drop in, if you had a favorite nut that you like, pecans, walnuts, whatever you like, you could put some nuts in there too, just to kind of oomph it up a little bit. In this bowl is where I'm mixing up our dry ingredients, and this is 3¼ cups of all-purpose flour, and to it I'm adding 1½ teaspoons, not tablespoons, 1½ teaspoons of baking soda and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to sprinkle that right in there. But just kind of mix it up. It gets the ingredients incorporated together and just kind of lightens up your flour before it goes in with the rest of the ingredients. Your dry ingredients are going to go in with these others, and we're just going to mix that together. I've got my bowl of mixed dough, I've got my baking sheet, and I've got my little scoop here, which just makes it easier for me to kind of get things about the same size. And these are going to spread a little bit, so I want to give them some room. So you will have multiple trays of this, unless you're cooking in some type of big commercial type kitchen, which I am not. So these ended up cooking about 10 minutes in my 425-degree oven. So I've let them sit on my baking sheet just for a couple of minutes. And now I'm going to put them on my cooling rack. And while these are cooling, I've got a couple more baking sheets in the oven while these are cooling, and I will get some more dough onto this baking sheet. I've got my remaining dough in the refrigerator while I was waiting on these to finish. So now I'm going to bring them out and get some more dough on this pan and keep the cooking process going. We've got them all baked up, and it ended up making just a few cookies over 4 dozen. I think I got 51 out of it. So that was using my little scoop, depends on the size of spoon or whatever you use to measure yours out to bake them with as to how many you get out of it. But 4 dozen cookies out of that small of a recipe, I don't think is a bad thing. Especially if you need cookies to take to a cookie swap or just to have around the house in case company drops by. So I already had my mister taste of one of these. Now, I am so proud of him because used to he would not taste anything that he was not familiar with, and he's not a big cookie fan. He loves Oreos and he loves sugar cookies, and that's about it. But I did ask him if he wanted to try one, and he did, even though he kind of made a face when I told him what type of cookie they were, because he is not a raisin fan at all. I've told you in past videos he's real big on textures in his food, so he's not, he doesn't like things, even like chocolate chips in his cookies. So I've got one of the cookies here. This one's still a little warm, and so it is still soft. See how good that looks? And I'm just going to see if I can break it open. So I want to show you, I don't know if you can see, can you see the fruit there on the inside? I mean, they're a soft cookie. I'm sure if you bake them longer, they'll be a hard cookie, but I kind of like my cookies soft. The brown sugar and butter, and of course, shine because I'm in brown sugar, butter. But the molasses, of course, it's in the brown sugar. The fruit that's in the mincemeat and the molasses is just the spices in the mincemeat. Now, again, when it says mincemeat, a long time ago, there used to be actual meat in them, but anymore, I think quite a number of years ago, I think like in the later Victorian period, they stopped putting meat in it per se and were using just suet, which is beef fat. Yes. The spices, the fruit, that brown sugar and butter, soft cookie. These are really good. And you know, mincemeat, you typically hear mincemeat pie. There's a mincemeat cake. Like I said, for using that little bit of leftover mincemeat that I had, you can use it in other things. You can use it as a topping. But I'm telling you, these mincemeat cookies are really good. And I think if you wanted to put nuts in here, you could do so. You could, as you put the dough out on the sheet, if you wanted to just put a little pecan on top to just bake on top to make them pretty, you could do the same thing there. But just as a cookie themselves, these are so good. Glass of milk, cup of coffee, whatever's your preferred drink to go with a cookie, I think you will enjoy these. So let me know down in the comments below if you try these mincemeat cookies. If you have made them previously, did you do anything differently? So let me know down in the comments below what you think about this recipe. And I hope you come back again real soon. I love y'all. Mountain Patriot Homestead, signing out.